Hi and welcome. It's been a while since I've been on. So today I'm going to do the Goldwing. I'm going to do brake pads, change them over. I'm going to do the brake fluid. I've plenty here. This is the stuff I'm using. Dot 4 SCA, got from a local super cheap. This is just a spare can that I used to pour it into to make it easier for topping it up. And I've got my brake pads. I bought these a while ago, so there's 3 sets of pads. So the back, the front pads take 2 sets, 2 for each side, and the back takes 1 set. They're actually the same pads for the front and for the back. If you go to the specialised pads for this, you'll find that the front ones and the back ones are slightly different, not in the shape but in the actual pad itself that's on it. There's like 4 sections on each pad on the back one, whereas the front there's just 2, or vice versa. But anyway, they take the same pads on the front as they do in the back, so back pads and front pads, easy. I'll get on with that. One of the reasons I'm going to change it is not that it's needing changed. I've checked the pads and they're still wear on them, but I've had the bike for 2 years now, and because I've had it for 2 years I want to get these old pads off, put new pads on, so that I know in here the brake pads are going to be fine. Now these are, just before I put them on, these are sintered. You get all different kinds of brake pads. You get the comfort ones that's for, you know, nice easy braking and everything like that, and they sort of powder a lot. These sintered ones, the material that they use, there's a lot of copper particles in it, and it's all compressed in to make brake pads. They do wear your discs a wee bit more, but I mean, when I say a wee bit more, you probably wouldn't notice it, you know, unless you were racing the bike. But they give you a better grip, and it gives less mess on your wheels. Somebody flying about in the bike there, and I'll show you what I mean by mess on the wheels. So here's what I mean by mess on the wheels. You know, the actual dust. Look at that, and that's coming off the brake pads. So I think what I'll do, the discs are fine. There's hardly any wear on the discs. And with it being a 2010 model, it's probably new discs on it, so I've got new discs, new pads at that point. But I'm going to change the pads. Then after changing the pads, I'm going to bleed the brakes, going to bleed the front, going to bleed the back. I'm actually going to drain all the fluid out the system, all the old fluid, and make sure it's no new fluid that's in there. And yeah, that'll certainly improve the brakes, because I noticed the last time I was playing about the brakes, the fluid's quite dirty, so I'll get that changed out. This is much the same procedure for any bike, you know, so if you've had a bike for sitting for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years that you've been using, you're recommended to change the fluid every 2 to 3 years, you know. So if you're changing the brakes, change the fluid. It just takes a minute to do, and it's certainly worth doing, especially, you know, when you've got an 1800 Goldwing. So what do you need for changing your brake pads and your fluid? Well, you need sockets to take the caliper. Well, you don't need to take the caliper off. I think on this one you can just take the pins out and get the calipers at the back. For bleeding the brakes, you need an 8 and a 10. There's 2 different sizes nipples, just my luck. An 8 and a 10, you'll need your pads and you'll need your Dot 4 brake fluid. And something to keep you hydrated when it's as warm as it is today. Let's get on with it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take all these covers off, because it'll make it a wee bit easier. So I'll take these ones off first. Now, now that I've taken all this off, I'll show you what I mean about the bleed nipples. There's a top nipple here and a bottom nipple, and it's the same on the other side. There's also a nipple on here that the covers came off it that we need to get, and this is the dive mechanism, you know, for the front forks, because what happens is when you're riding along on the bike, and you know how when you brake, mostly with your front brakes, the bike dives down. Well, what happens is on your, I think it's on the back brake pedal, I'll just need to double check before I do it, but in the back brake pedal, what happens is it pushes pressure into this anti-dive mechanism. So as you're actually increasing pressure into your forks to stop it from diving. So when you're braking with this Goldwing, when you use the front brake, it's actually using the back brake as well. They're all joined up. So it doesn't matter what pedal you use. A lot of people just use the back brake all the time. Some use the front all the time. It's entirely up to yourself. But whatever one you use, they're both connected. And when you brake hard, it puts pressure on your anti-dive and stops the front of the bike from diving down to the ground. So that's what that extra nipple is, which is the one sitting on top here, which is your anti-dive mechanism. So anyway, we're going to get onto the bleeding of the brakes shortly, but first I'm going to change these brake pads. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cover off the front brake front brake reservoir, because I'm going to be pushing these brake pads in, and it pushes fluid back up into the caliper. So I'll just take this off. So you've got a cover, and then you've got a wee plastic cover here, your diaphragm I should say. Now I'll put that to the side so as I don't lose it, along with the screws, and that's that done. So you find as you turn the steering it doesn't really spill anything. So here we go. So what I try and do first is just use a big screwdriver and push the caliper, the pistons back in as best you can. And then once you've done that, you just need to get an Allen key or a socket that does the same, and take this pin out. So unscrew this right out, and then when it's out far enough, there's a pin. So as you'll see, it's pretty filthy here. It's pretty grubby. So what I'll do is I'll clean that up with a wire brush, put a wee bit of silicone or something like that on it, and when we put the pads back in, pop that in. Bob's your uncle, fan is your auntie. Now this is had an anti-squeal shim on one side and nothing on the other. And as you see, these brake pads are alright. So we got our brake pads out. As I was saying, there's plenty of meat left on them. Let's have a look compared to a new packet. Yeah, so here's what I was on about with some of them. The pad itself, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's got 4 bits on it, compared to these I've got 2. It makes no difference. I think it's to do with the cooling, but I'm going to put these ones on. You can just double check them, make sure they're the exact same size, like that. Perfect. There is actually, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is a lot more meat on these new ones than on the old ones. So I'm going to change them anyway. Now, Notice there's an anti-squeal shim to stop your thing from squealing. So what you want to do is put it on one of the new ones. Now, just so as you know, if it's not a tight fit on there, if it's going to flop about, you can bend your tabs a wee bit. Just give them a wee dent and something, and then it'll more or less clip on and it won't come off. But that's a good fit, so we'll just leave that going at that. I will give that a wire brush in the back before I put it in. This one doesn't need it, so it's always the back one. This one will go up in the back, the inside, and the one without the shim goes on the front. Why? To be honest, I don't know. Anyway, put the old ones to the side, and we'll go and get the pin cleaned next and give it a wee bit grease. So here's my pin. I'll just give it a go with the wire brush. Yeah, now always remember, put that over here, that there is a wee rubber seal here, because that clips in when you screw it right in and seals it. So once you get that done, give it a wee spray. Make sure you don't get in your pads. Give it a wee spray with some silicone lubricant. Perfect. And that's enough to do it. Then all you need to do, I'll give that a wire brush as well. Go back into place, which goes up the far side. Like that. And then this one goes up this side. Like that. And then screw your pin. Sorry, I'm not showing you. And I'll just bring you in a wee bit closer. There's your two pads in. Pop your pin through. Like that. Screw it back in. Like that. Get your ratchet going the right way. Yeah, anyway, overdo it. Lighten off a wee bit and back in again. Yeah, I think that'll be tight enough. So here's the two pads in. I'll give the brake lever a wee press. That's better. So that's that done. That's that caliper. So what I'll do is I'll go and do the other side. Yeah, and then once I get the other side done, what I'll do is I'll give it all a good clean up. Clean the wheel as well, seeing as it's all dust, and we'll see exactly how long it lasts for this time. Anyway, I'll go and get the other side done, and then we'll get on to the back. So just in case you were inquisitive, here's the pads out the other side. Excuse me, I've got bronchitis, or I'm recovering from it. Here's the two new pads. And when you put them, oh god, I can't even do it now. When you put them together, you can see there's a wee bit more. Not a lot, but a wee bit. But that's fine. So I'll just end up, I'll put this onto this one for up the back, and I'll give it a clean with the wire brush and get it put back together. So I'm ready to put these back in, silicone the pin, but one thing I have noticed is the wee rubber grommet's missing off the end. I'll need to have a look and see if it's jammed in there. And if no, I'll need to get one. If I can't get one just now, I'll get one later on, and I can easily put it in. But I'll have a look and see if it's in there first, because it might be jammed in the other end, which is quite possible. So this is another side done, nice and tight. Yep, I'll give the brake pedal caliper a wee with the, what do you call it, a wee crank. Lovely, that is nice. Nice fit there, and I've got them both the right way around, which is great. Yeah, so there's the old pads ready for the bin. Right, so I think the next job, I'll get the back done, but before I do, I'm going to clean this. And really, it's just dust and crap, so the best thing to clean this would be, what you always used to clean it? Brake cleaner, nothing else. Anything else might leave a wee greasy bit on it, so we'll get some brake cleaner, clean up the forks, clean up the calipers, clean up the wheel, and then we'll go and do the back caliper, and that'll leave us time to bleed them, hopefully. So, brake cleaner, the pressure of this stuff usually we'll just give it a quick wipe down. And at least doing this, I suppose I'll be able to see whether it's still causing a lot of dust. Hopefully it shouldn't be. Hopefully. That's not bad. That's quite good. That's quite clean. Clean enough. And I'll go and get the other side done. So I'm just going to show you in here, I've taken this side panel off, there it is lying in there. And here is the reservoir for the back brake. Now, that's held in here, it's sort of forced in here and held in here with a wee bolt in that hole, right? So what I found it's easier to do is just take the bolt out, and you can bring this out here, you can take the top off it, as long as you don't spill it. Try not to spill it. You can take the top off it, pull this rubber plunger out. Now, look at the colour of that. It's like you've been, I don't know, it's just a dirty colour, eh? So that is definitely needing change. So take that out of there, sit it in here just now, but at least when you go to top it up, you can, you can pull it out and whatever. So I'll leave it sitting in here like that just now while I change the back brakes, and then once I get the back brakes changed, we'll get everything bled where I'll be able to drain that out. Anyway, up to the back wheel now. So here's the, put my can out the way, here's the back caliper here. So it's just much the same. There's a wee rubber grommet in here that we take off, lay it down, and then your Allen key or ratchet. There we go. Once you get it slacking, it's easy just to screw it behind using the socket. Now, before I take this right out, I'll go ahead and squeeze the calipers in. There we go, so that's caliper in. I can take the pin out and there's one fell out and another one at the back is here. So as you can see, there's a shim on both of them. These ones, yeah, they're about the same wear as the front. But as I say, I just want to take them off, get them changed, and yeah, at least I know now that there's new ones on it, so I'll have an idea as to how long they'll last and how often I need to check them, etc. So what I'll do is I'll quickly change these back shims over onto the new ones, and then we'll get them up and inserted. So here we go, round 2. If I can do it without it falling out, so I'll get the inside one up first. Turn it the right way around. And that should just go up there, like that. Easy. And then pull the caliper out. Oh. And try and slide this one up the same way. So, yeah. I think that's it. I'll go ahead and put this bin through. It's all cleaned, it's all siliconed. Oh yeah, lovely stuff. And I'll screw that home. So it's quite simple to do. Non-difficult, and just give it a wee crank up. Don't go too heavy-handed with it. Tight enough. There we go. And just while we're in here, at the top here, you can see there's 2 bleed nipples. So that's what we'll be doing when we bleed the brakes from these nipples. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll press the caliper, make sure that's working. And there we go, lovely. Put the wee rubber grommet back in. I'll need to put the ones in the front back in as well. Although there is one missing. Don't know why, but that's that done. Right, now we'll go to bleeding. So we're on to the bleeding. Now, normally I would drain all the fluid out of here, but I just did this the other week. So the fluid in here is new, because I was doing something with the brakes. So I'm not going to drain this one, but what I will do is I'll drain the rear one just now. So here is my machine for draining. It's connected to my compressor, so when I press it, it sucks through this pipe. You put that over the nipple, slacken the nipple, put the pressure on, and it sucks all the fluid through the system. So all you have to do is keep topping up your reservoir. But before I do that, as I said, the top one's already been done. So what I'm going to do is just suck out the fluid from the bottom one, and you'll see that happening. Like that. That's it all sucked out. Get a compressor coming on in a minute. It's a noisy damn thing, but however. And then that's it ready for doing the nipples. Now let's have a wee look inside. Looks relatively clean. And give it a wee wipe with a cloth. Don't suck the fluid out of this pipe because you don't want to get air down that pipe. So give that a wee clean, and then we'll get some fluid to put in it. And I just happen to have some here, dot 4. Dot 4 is what they recommend. Don't use anything else. And you'll see the difference between the fluid that was in here and the fluid I'm going to put in now. Look at that. Now I'm filling it up. You don't fill it right up, you only fill it up to the level. But I've just filled it up because I'm going to be bleeding it. So yeah. Don't know where the upper, here's the upper level here. Lower level here. So anyway, I'll put this back in place and leave it here. Try not to spill it. Leave it sitting here for when I bleed the brakes, and I can top it up as needed. As you can see on the caliper, we've got 2 nipples here, and it's the same on the other side. Now, the reason it's got 2 nipples is because both the front brake handle and the back brake lever connect to these calipers, both sides. So one's for the back and one's for the front. So the rule of thumb is when you bleed your front brakes, it's your right upper and your left lower, the lower on the other side, and that bleeds your front brakes. And when you do the rear, it's opposite way around. So anyway, we'll start with this one. So I think this is an 8mm one. You've got both sizes, 8 and 10mm. Yep, this is 8. So there we go, I got my flat one, which is easier, 8mm. Put it round there, and then we take this. Be easier if I take this hook off. Take that, but push that right on, like that. Hook your hose up here, and then what we do is we switch your can on. It'll start sucking through here, and what we do is we top the front reservoir up while we're doing it, and we do this until the fluid colour changes to a nice clear light colour. So here we go, and crack open the nipple. You can see the fluid going through it. Let's turn that off. And that is that one done. So we just top the fluid up a bit again. And that's it. So here we are to do the other side. So when you're doing the front, it's the right upper and left lower. So here's the left upper, and here's the the left lower. So what we're going to do is do this one next. Now, when you put this on, this has got some suction. So it kind of bubbles a wee bit coming through here, but that's okay. That's just it sucking air in where it's sealed on. You can hold it, push it in, and it'll seal it up more. But the trick I've found is 2 reservoirs full of fluid, and that's the new stuff coming through. It'll be a wee bit less at this side, but we'll get that done. And that'll be the front blade. So, we'll put that on here. And excuse the noise, but it's going to come on again. And bleed. You can see the fluid coming through. fluid's nice and clear now, so we'll just switch that off. And just doubly make sure it's tight enough. There we go. So that's how it's done, the front caliper. Drain the fluid out of the reservoir, fill it up with nice clean stuff. Start off on the right hand side. As you're sitting on the bike, you're right, and you do the right upper. Bleed that until fresh fluid comes out. It usually takes about 2 reservoirs full, and then you do the left as if you're sitting on the bike. You do the left lower. Once that's done, that's your front brakes bled. So now we're going to go to the back brakes. I'm just going to check the reservoir still full from when I filled it, and then we'll start bleeding the front, and it shouldn't take too long. Okay, now we're doing the back brake. So it's that left upper this time. So we put a spanner on it, right on, put our bleeder on. I'll start this off, we'll watch the colour. I'll keep topping up the rear reservoir, because this is the rear one we're doing now, although it's the front brake. So I'll start this off, and there she goes. So it's a bit noisy with the compressor on, but now we're going, oh that's better, now we're going with the right lower, so we'll get that blade next. I'll put the air pressure on, oh, a bit. And there we go. You'll see it yourself. That one. Here it's tight. Yep. Whew. So you can. So doing that was a wee bit difficult with this one, the rebound. It just, there was fluid coming out, but it was very, very slow. I opened the nipple up quite a bit and it was still slow. So what I did while I was doing it was I pumped. So when I was pumping on the brake pedal at the back, it was actually pushing it through, and because there was a suction, it was stopping air getting back in. So yeah, so that's the front brakes all done. The back brakes are done with these 2 front calipers and the anti-rebound thing. And there is what I've got so far in fluid. Now, it takes a fair wee bit, I must admit, of fluid. So I think that was about 2 calipers on the first one doing the front, 2 reservoirs full. And the back one's taking me 3 reservoirs probably with doing this rebound thing as well, but that's okay, that's fine. All I need to do is do the back wheel now. So there's 2 calipers there, there's one in the top, one in the bottom, both are connected to the back brake, none are connected to the front, so I'll be able to bleed them as normal. Once that's done, top the fluids up, get my front mudguard back on together again, and then we might go for a wee test ride, I think, eh? Yeah. Why not? I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'll start with running. So that's all the brakes bled. So .4 brake fluid, I've used 2.5 cans of this. This is half a litre, so I've used about a litre and a bit, probably a litre and a half actually, and I used a wee bit more than that, which isn't too bad. So it's just a matter of putting everything on. Make sure your fluid's topped up to your top mark. Put your valve and your diaphragm in without spilling it. That takes it right up to the top. So somebody had asked me a while ago, how do you know when your brake pads are down? Right, it's quite simple. The more your brake pads wear, the more the pistons come out and the more fluid it uses for here. So if you know you'd done your brakes a couple of years ago and you look at your thing and it's halfway down, you know your brakes are quite warm because it's used that much fluid to push the pistons further out to grip with your pads. Same with the front, the cylinder. Just have a look at that now and again, and if it's getting down low, don't top it up, because if you top it up, then what happens is when you squeeze your pads in to put new pads in, it'll overflow. So never top it up. It does go down with the wear and tear, but then when you put new pads in, it comes back up. But I always think as a rule it's a good thing, you know, if you put new pads in a bike or a car, you know, for all the time it takes to actually bleed it, sometimes it's worth just doing. Anyway, put this back on, and then we'll get the front done up, and that'll be that. Let's see if I can get this bloody screw in. So here's the front fluid reservoir. Just fill it up as far as it needs to go. Then you've got your rear rubber seal and your plastic bit in the top. This bit inside is just a plastic strip, and the reason that's in there is when your fluid goes down level, the sun can shine in that wee hole and it makes it bright because it hits that white reflective stuff, and you can tell that your fluid's low. But like I say, fluid should never really get too low, unless you've got a leak. But if you change your fluid, you know, every time you do the pads, or at least every second time, you'll never have a problem. Don't change your fluid without changing your pads, because with it being worn, if your old pads are worn and you put new fluid in up to the levels, when you go to take your old pads out again, and you have to open your pistons, you could end up overflowing. So yeah, now just get a wee cloth. That's fine, that's that, all good, up to where it should be. I'm really a slayster, but however, just one of these things. Just in case you're wondering, here's how much fluid I took out the bike. Quite a bit there. Yeah, it's over a litre, so that's good, that's good. So yeah, I'll get the front put back on. As you can see, it's looking a bit naked style, and yeah, we'll take it for a wee test run. Jesus, it's warm. So let's test the front brakes. Alright. Just needing a wee bit used to bed them in. Back brakes. A wee bit used to bed them in. Anti-dive seems to be working. Oh yeah. Let's go this way for a change. One thing I do love about this bike is just the engine noise. You know, when you've been running about in a wee 4-cylinder car and you jump into a V6 or a V8 or something, and you go, geez, sounds awesome. Well, this is what this sounds like. Oh, well, that's a successful job, I would say. Very successful. Now, I've got another thing coming up shortly. There was a company contacted me about this new fancy, I was going to say in-car entertainment, but it's in-bike entertainment. You know, it's one of these CarPlay things, and it's got everything on it. It's even got front rear cameras, it's got sat nav, it connects to your phone. It's got everything on it, and they're not that expensive. So I had a company contact me, boys out for a ride. Company contact me and asked me if I'd be willing to try it and maybe do a review on it. So I've never done that, and you know, I wasn't really interested in doing reviews and things like that. You know, no, for like paid reviews. Well, it's not really a paid review. They give me it free charge and I do a review on it, and then I put a link so anybody want to buy one can buy it and get like 10% or 20% off or whatever they're offering at the time. So I've never done that before, but I might do it, you know, just a full length video just to let you see what this thing's like. Because I'm thinking, you know, the screen on the Goldwing's a bit outdated. I mean, really, all it shows is how many kilometres you've done, and it does show you stuff, but not a lot. So I'm thinking if I put one on the Goldwing, do away with my sat nav, put one on the Goldwing, and it'll do everything. It'd be great if I could replace the original thing there, but it still gives me information on, you know, whether you've set the suspension or no, you know, what setting you've got it at, and fuel and things like that. So I'll keep the one that's on it, but I'll put this new one somewhere to make it easy use, and that should be quite good. Anyway, I'm going to cut this off now, and I'll see you all very soon. And thanks for watching. Give me a like if you can. It kind of helps with the algorithm and stuff. And I'll catch you later on. Now we'll run this guy over. Ooh, up we go. There we go. Right. Catch you all later on. See you later.